Hello everyone, welcome to Minority Media. I just watched an interview where Kenneth Okonkwo was making a lot of statements regarding Peter Obi, and none of them were good. And I thought that it's important for us to continue to respond to these assertions. But before I get into what he said about Peter Obi and my response, let me talk about the journalistic practice in Nigeria that I believe has fallen way below standard. When you bring in a guest and that guest has something to say about another guest, particularly if what they are saying is not good, okay? If what they're saying could be considered an impugnation of the other person's character, it is your responsibility as a journalist to make sure you provide the balance, either by asking critical questions or by making observations that puts the other person at least in a position to rethink what they are saying. But in Nigeria, I've seen that whenever they are talking about Peter Obi, journalists just let them run amok. In fact, it's as if they want people to talk negatively about Peter Obi. Why? Because that gets them clicks. It gets them views. So I'm not sure why a whole industry, almost a whole industry, is against one man. What really has he done? Now, Kenneth Okonkwo, since 2024, has been saying a lot of things about Peter Obi. And I believe that more and more we need to be responding to him. First, he said Peter Obi did not fight for the last election after he won. That is why he's against him. I don't understand why that is an issue. Peter Obi came third. Atiku came second. Did Atiku fight in the last election? In fact, if anyone was supposed to lead the street protest, it should be Atiku, not Peter Obi. Maybe Obi would have followed suit. Atiku did not fight in the last election, and yet you are supporting him. But you are not supporting Peter Obi because he did not fight in the last election. Peter Obi has repeatedly said that he does not want anyone's blood to be spilled on his account. If Peter Obi had gone to the streets to protest, to fight, as Kenneth Okonkwo says, what do you think would have happened? He probably won't be alive today, or he would have been languishing in jail somewhere. More importantly, what do you think would have happened to the people that he led to the street? They would have been gunned down, jailed, imprisoned, tortured, marginalized, persecuted. And what do you think would have happened after that? Nothing. Nothing would have happened. Look at what happened at NSAS. What justification came out of that? Nothing. What do you think the international community would have done? Nothing. What do you think Nigerians would have done? Nothing. They would have moved on. Peter Obi would be gone. Those poor people would have been dead. And the government would continue as usual. Nothing would have happened. If someone is going to lead a protest, it should not be Peter Obi, and in fact, it should not be the Igbos. And I'm not even Igbo. I understand the injustice that have been done to these people since the 1960s. The Igbos have been dying since the 1960s for Nigerian cause. It is time for other people to take on the mandate, to pick up the mantle. Let the Yorubas go out and protest. Let the Fulanis go out there and protest. What about the Hausas, the Ibibios, the Benis? I'm a Benima. You go out there and protest. Don't get me wrong. I know that most of these people are doing their own bit in different ways, but why always speaking on the Igbos? Why? So for me, I said in my videos during the last election that the Igbos should stay indoors. Don't come out and fight. It's a trap. And I'm glad many of those people took that advice. Now, let me go back again to Kenneth Okonkwo. What about Atiku? Atiku did not come out to fight. Why is Atiku not a lion? Why is he not a tiger? Why is he not spilling blood on the streets? He came second. He himself also said he stole his mandate. Why did he come out and fight? So, and yet you are supporting him. How does that make sense? All right. So the second thing he said is that Peter Obi left Labour Party when he should have stayed to save it. And I say Peter Obi left Labour Party to save it. If Peter Obi had remained in Labour Party would have remained comatose. The ruling party, the government would have made sure that that party does not function. those court cases that you think are being resolved right now would not have been resolved. They would have been in limbo. If Peter Obi had remained in Labour Party would have remained in limbo. There would have been no party left. Peter Obi left Labour Party to save it. Just imagine that. As soon as he left, those court cases started to resolve themselves. All of a sudden, you started to see courageous judges who can deliver good judgment, right? So, in the same vein, if Peter Obi had not gone to the ADC would have remained intact. Nothing would have happened to ADC. There would have been no court cases. There would have been no Bala or whatever his name is called to contest the leadership issue. They would have been fine. But because Peter Obi went to the ADC and the government is so afraid of Peter Obi, they had to target the ADC. It wasn't because of Atiku. It was because of Peter Obi. So, Peter Obi, I repeat, left the Labour Party to save the Labour Party. You can see how well they are doing now. Now, what about Atiku? You are supporting Atiku against Peter Obi because Peter Obi left the Labour Party. But Atiku left the PDP as well. Am I forgetting something? Atiku left the biggest party, PDP. After he destroyed it, allegedly with his manipulations, he left. He did not stay to fight. He did not become a lion or a tiger or a gorilla or an eagle to fight and save the party. He left. Yet, you are supporting him. Why is that? Why are you supporting Atiku, who did not stay back in PDP to fight for the party? But you are against Peter Obi for leaving Labour Party that was being targeted by the government. Tell me how that makes sense. So, there is no logic in what Kenneth is saying. I'm here to disprove the illogic of his logic. It doesn't make sense. If he had just come out to say, I don't like Peter Obi, I thought he was a good person for the presidency, he's no longer, I don't think so anymore because of this, because of that, fine, no problem. You can support whoever you want. There's nothing wrong in that. But this idea of being sentimental or being overly emotional when it comes to the case of Peter Obi is very tiresome. It's tiring. If you have something to say something that makes sense. Otherwise, we are going to continue to challenge you on your illogical arguments. Atiku, as far as I'm concerned, destroyed PDP. He did. At least according to the other factions. Atiku had been running to become the president for decades. According to his critics, what he does is that he is able to, there's a strategy that he uses to win primaries that involves large amounts of money, allegedly. I'm not sure how he does it. You can fill in the blanks. He's able to buy delegates, according to those people, allegedly, and he's able to secure nominations, primaries. However, such strategy does not work in general elections because obviously you cannot buy the entire country, no matter how rich you are. Again, these are allegations. So the strategy for him to win the primary nomination usually don't work in general elections. That's why he doesn't win, according to his critics. The worst part for me is that after he fails the general election, he doesn't sit back to rebuild the party. That is how Wike became so powerful in PDP. He leaves. He goes to Dubai or wherever he goes and wait for the next election cycle while the people on the ground are here fighting to rebuild the party that he woefully failed in. That is what upset Wike. As much as I don't like the man, he's right on this case. Absolutely. You are contesting for the presidency when it's supposed to be the turn of the South. Against all sense of injustice and equity that Kenneth Okonkwo talks about again and again and again. Where is the sense of justice and equity for Atiku Abubakar to run for the presidency at this time when it is the turn of the South? Where's the equity in that? Where's the justice in that? Let's just say, let's even forget the issue of the Southeast for now. It is the turn of the South. This was acknowledged in the last election. So yet, you can hold your nose to support such a person, but you cannot stop for 1 second to think about why Peter Obi has done the things that he has done. What Peter Obi is doing is political adaptation in order to survive. This is Nigerian politics. I thought Kenneth Okonkwo was a very smart man. What the hell is wrong with him these days? I'd like to know exactly what Peter Obi has done to this man behind the scene that is making him behave the way he's behaving. I hope it's worth it. Because what this man is doing, what Kenneth is doing, is actually destroy his own political image in the eyes of Nigerians. Just to recap, Kenneth Okonkwo does not make sense. Peter Obi left the Labour Party because if he had stayed, the Labour Party would have been destroyed. He left the Labour Party to save it. I repeat, Peter Obi left the Labour Party to save it. Kenneth Okonkwo needs to understand that. If Peter Obi had not gone to the ADC would have been fine. Peter Obi went to NDC as a survival strategy because the case in ADC is still ongoing. That is what he said. Why can't you take him at his word? Peter Obi is in NDC because ADC is fraught with legal battles. And from the latest ruling, where the case was postponed indefinitely, we know that he made the right decision. The ADC might not even be on the ballot. So, do you now see why Peter Obi is a master strategist with his patient kind of politics? For sure, in this next coming election, if there's rigging, again, I think Nigerians should rise up. I think Kenneth Okonkwo should lead the protest. Nigerians need to tag him with this video. I think Kenneth Okonkwo should lead the protest in the next election because we all know that it's going to be rigged. We will do our very best to make sure that we ask our candidates come out on top. But we all know what the government is planning. In Edo State, for example, people are already saying that they're going to give 2.5 million votes where they don't even have up to 1 million registered voters. How's that going to happen if not rigging? That's all I have for you today. I'm sorry to say I like Kenneth Okonkwo a lot. The man is very eloquent. Sometimes his arguments can be very sound. And I think he's one of those erudite speakers in Nigerian politics today. And I respect him for that. But on this particular case, with the case of Peter Obi, I do not know why he's doing what he's doing. And don't get me wrong, if Peter Obi is doing something wrong and you present it to the world, to me, I obviously would not support him. Yes, at this particular moment in time, I still think he is the best person to be president, not only because he's more competent, but also because for a sense of fairness, justice, and equity, someone from the southeast should be president. And at this point in time, I believe Peter Obi represents that person. If you think I'm wrong, please put it in the comment section. If you also think I'm right, please let me know. Thank you again for watching Minority Media. This is a new series for me. It's called a drive-through series where I'll be making these videos in my car and talking about critical issues in Nigerian politics and beyond. Please subscribe to this channel, follow me, and you'll get more from me. Thank you. Bye.